This is so crazy. I think this is the first time in history in which a war is being fought under the ground. There is an entire city in Gaza beneath the ground, tunnels and tunnels and tunnels, which is making the war so difficult for Israel. So we need to understand, what does this mean? Why the tunnels? And why is it exactly at this moment of history that good is fighting evil as it is buried beneath the ground? So we're coming full circle. We have to go back to the beginning story in Genesis, right at the beginning in Bereshis, where the Torah relates the first story of Adam and Eve, Adam and Chava, when they are in the Garden of Eden. And Eve and then Adam, Chava and Adam, ate from the tree of knowledge. We know that the tree of knowledge was called the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So mystically, Kabbalistically, it is explained that as a result of the potential of evil that existed within the tree, the knowledge of evil, that then went into Eve by eating from it, and passed on to Adam, and from them it polluted the world. However, when we take a look at the repercussions of the sin, we see that God speaks to all of them. He speaks to the snake, he speaks to Eve, and he speaks to Adam, and he curses them all. Everybody gets their punishment. So when Hashem speaks to Adam, Hashem says to him, God says to him, Aruda ha'adama bavurecha. The earth is cursed on your sake, on your behalf. What is the meaning that the earth is cursed on your behalf? It means that the evil, the impurity that was connected to the tree of knowledge seeped into the earth itself, and the earth became contaminated. The very soil of planet Earth became contaminated. Now that, so says the second Chabad Rebbe, the Mittel Rebbe. And the meaning of that is that once the soil has become polluted and the soil has become kind of impure earth, that impurity now ends up into everything. Because we know that all food grows from the earth, all vegetation grows from the earth. So the contamination of the earth goes into all vegetation. When people eat that vegetation, that spiritual contamination goes into the people. All the people that are, and the animals, and all living things that are surviving from the earth. Even more than that, we know that oxygen is created by the trees. And if the trees are deriving from the earth, so the pollution, the impurity is even in the air that we breathe. So we can understand why immediately after the story of the sin of the tree of knowledge, of the Eitz Hadas, what do we find immediately after that? How the world and all of society plummets and falls to such a terrible state. The world becomes so depraved. It just takes a couple of generations later, and God has to wipe out the entire world. The flood, the generation. We know that before that there was another destruction in the days of Enosh, where a third of the world population was destroyed by a massive tsunami. And even before that, we see the corruption taking place immediately with Cain and Abel, where Cain kills his brother Hevel, Cain kills Abel. This is because it starts evil, what became entrenched in the very fabric of the human experience and of the world experience. But that's not necessary. That was terrible, but it was according to plan. God's greater plan is that the ultimate goodness should come from all of our work, that we, the human being, still has a place within him in which he can generate rectification. And that has been given the task for the human being when God chased Adam out of the Garden of Eden, and he says, go fix the earth from where you come from. And that becomes the toil of over 5,000 years of human toil, which is all our work through God gives the Torah to the world, chooses the Jewish people, and all of mankind gets 7 Noahide laws. And the purpose of it is the filtration, the separation of good and evil, to separate the good from the bad, and to cleanse, and we cleanse the earth itself. What's going to be the ultimate result? all unholiness and all pollution that went into the earth eventually gets purged. It comes out to the surface, gets spit out, and then the earth is cleansed, and then the atmosphere is cleansed, and everything is pure, and the world is ready for Mashiach. So what's going to happen when the world is ready for Mashiach? The earth itself is going to become filled with godly knowledge. Instead of what? Instead of the polluted state, the unholy state, that the earth was contaminated as a result of the sin. So take a look at the interesting words that are used. Right after the sin, when it speaks about the generation of the flood, it says, God says, I'm going to destroy the world. I'm going to destroy every living creature on the earth. And it says, actually, Rashi explains, the Torah commentators explain, that Vatishache sa'aretz, that the earth itself became destroyed by the flood, that the flood removed 3 handbreadths of earth, disintegrated, because of the pollution of the soil itself, and that too needed to be cleansed. The flood was a massive cleansing and purification. But the words that it says moments before the flood is Vatimale ha'aretz Hamas. The earth became full of violence. When the Torah is looking for a word to describe the impurity that came from this, the ultimate state of impurity that came into the earth is that the earth became filled with Hamas, became filled with violence. Now that affected the entire earth, the entire world. Now what's going to be the replacement of the Hamas? When Moshiach comes, it says, Umala ha'aretz deya es Hashem. The world will become filled with knowledge of God. So instead of Hamas, which is violence, earth itself is going to become filled with divine knowledge. That means that just like there's a certain innate corruption, which kind of unbeknown to us subconsciously drives the human kind of like a mysterious magnetic pull towards sinful behaviors, which has been plaguing humanity from the beginning of time. And we have the power to fight it, and we have to use our power of our higher soul and our higher consciousness and our higher knowledge to fight this natural inclination towards the negative, towards the unholy. After Mashiach comes, by breathing the air and by eating the food, it is going to be conducive to knowledge of God. Walking on the soil, living life, engaging in material, physical experiences like eating and breathing, every moment of it, we will become more in tune with the divine truth. Umala ha'aretz deya, the world will be filled with knowledge. So as we reach the state, the last moments of the purge, there is no more Hamas, there is no more Hamas, there is no more violence of that impurity in the soil across the whole world, because it's exiting. And where is it exiting? It's exiting through the subterranean tunnels in Gaza. Gaza is that last hub where all the impurity, all the leftover Hamas, and that's amazing how Hamas tunnels itself in beneath the ground, because that's the concentration of impurity that's still in the world, and it's in the earth, embedded in the earth. Israel is now forcing Hamas people to come out of the earth. It's like they lock themselves in as their last hold in the earth, but it's being purged now. It's all coming out, and the impurity is going to be erased. Vasruach Hatuma, the spirit of impurity, is going to be erased from the face of the earth. It's possible that the Umala Aretz Deya, that the fulfillment, that the earth is going to become filled with knowledge of God, is connected to the idea that the Temple Mount, the Holy Temple, also had tunnels beneath it. We learn in Mishnah, in Talmud, where it describes the temple services, it describes many tunnels. They were called mechilos, which are tunnels that were beneath the temple. And the reason, and to take, and even more than that, during the time of at the end period of the first temple, the temple that King Solomon built, they had an ark, the ark of the covenant, the holy of the holy, that is the house for the 2 tablets that are literally the essence of where God dwells, makes contact with the world, and the essence of divine consciousness and knowledge of God comes to the world through the Torah, which is in the ark. what happened with the ark? So according to our sages, King Solomon, when he built the temple, knew that the temple would be destroyed, and there would be people who would want to, it would be dangerous, God forbid, if something as powerful, as godly as the ark with the tablets are going to fall into the hands of the wrong people. So he initially created a secret cavern and a tunnel somewhere beneath. Maimonides speaks about it in the laws of the Beis Hamikdash, in the laws of the temple, in which King Solomon hid, not himself, he instructed his descendants. He passed on to the family, to his family tree, to his descendants, that when time will come and there would be a danger for the continuation of the temple, take the holy ark, the Ark of the Covenant, and bury it somewhere below the ground. So I haven't seen this anywhere, but this is just my own thought. It's very possible that the reason the ark is buried in the earth, because that itself is part of the purification process of the earth. Just like the higher reason of why the Jewish people went to exile and scattered around the world wasn't just punishment, wasn't that God was angry at us. It was because had we stayed in Israel, then we could not enlighten the rest of humanity. We couldn't bring divine consciousness to the rest of the world. So the Jewish people had to scatter across the entire world in the diaspora, covering the entire globe, so that holy souls and holy consciousness and Torah study and mitzvah observance is done in every country and in every place across the world, in all 7 continents, across the entire world, so that earth, the entire world, can be prepared for Moshiach. Included in that, the Torah itself, the tablet, which is the root of the entire Torah, could not remain above the ground, but went below the ground in order to continue the purification, so that we can so the day of the knowledge of God can do combat and can eliminate the Hamas. So you got the tunnels over here and the tunnels over here. And how interesting is it? I think it's kind of weird, the story that just came out within the last 2 days, that under Chabad World Headquarters, they found a tunnel. Now, even though this tunnel is seems to be, it's weird, they found under 770 Eastern Parkway, there's a tunnel there. And they just found it just the last few days. And it's causing a lot of commotion. Who dug this tunnel? What's going on? And it's really weird. But to me, it's really, really makes a lot of sense that since the Lubavitcher Rebbe is the leader of Chabad, Chabad means Chochma Bina Das. Chochma means wisdom, Bina means understanding, and Das, which means knowledge. And the Chabad Rebbeim are the headquarters of divine knowledge. They're the brain of the world, the ultimate knowledge of God that Moshiach himself is going to bring to the world. So therefore we can understand it. And the Rebbe says that 770 is Beis Moshiach. That's the house of Moshiach. That's the root of where divine knowledge, and the Rebbe actually adds that the third temple is going to reveal itself first in 770 before it reveals itself in the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. So interesting that there's a tunnel over there as well. Why? What is the mystery of the tunnel? I don't know. But the Das, the knowledge of God, both in the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, in 770 Eastern Parkway, countering the force of the tunnels of Gaza. May we merit to see the revelation of the ultimate godly knowledge today.